Over the past year, I've taken all I have learned and tested it to the extreme in 8 of the world's wildest environments. I wanted to see if I could go beyond survival and thrive.
Take it again.
Using only what nature provides. Each breakthrough
Look at that!
taught me something invaluable.
Whoa.
And revealed the 10 biggest lessons that I learned the hard way. These are my rules of survival. You won't find these rules of survival in the handbooks. I've been dropped into 8 remote environments for 10 days each time. And so, my number 1 rule of survival is to stop and make a plan. The key is to compose yourself and slowly start taking back control. I literally put the camera down and for 5 minutes turn the camera off and just sit there and just look around and absorb the place that I'm in. And it needs that space, it needs that little pregnant pause in order to then go on and crack on and do all the things you need to do that day. I might need fire in Africa in order to keep away the big game. I might need water in the desert in order to hydrate. I might need shelter in Venezuela to stop getting hypothermia. In the Golden Triangle in Thailand, the temperature was in the high 30s. An average person loses up to 3 litres of water a day. But in an extreme climate, you can lose 3 litres every hour. I need to drop down, I need to find a source of water. And that is an urgent priority. I had to be strategic. My plan was to investigate each valley one by one until I found a stream. Water. Water.
Not a sex shit.
Eventually, after a day of searching, sticking to the plan paid off. A silent little stream, and it's flowing.
Receiving.
Is think like a local. I've learned incredible techniques from locals for making fire, building shelter.
Find it anymore.
It ain't bad,
and
is
then
it?
You put here.
10 minutes work. And catching food. Impressive, eh? It really is impressive. I know that when I think like a local, I adapt quickly to new, unfamiliar surroundings. But indigenous tribes are not all that live in these environments. My 3rd rule of survival is never drop your guard. Danger can come in all shapes and sizes. The most obvious threats are big dangers, like the buffalo in Rwanda.
They are there.
African buffalo have a fierce reputation. They can weigh over 600 kilograms and can charge at speeds of 55 kilometers an hour.
If it charged you, you're pretty much dead. If you run away, you're pretty much dead. The local bushman guy said to me, if a buffalo ever does charge you and you're nowhere near a tree, lie down on the floor, because it will trample you and it will break a few bones, but at least there's a possibility you'll live.
Never dropping your guard doesn't mean living in fear. It just means being aware. Rule 4. Learn from your mistakes.
I have an ember.
No. It's slightly too damp.
Okay.
In the wild, there is no such thing as a small mistake. This experience in Romania taught me one of my biggest lessons. If I'd beaten myself up, you know, it could have had a knock-on effect into other events, but I had to just smile, learn from my own stupidity and move on. And the next morning, I dried tinder en masse.
Grass is dry enough now. Time to go and try and get a fire going in. Yes! Ooh, we've got fire! Yeah! Ah, good stuff. You don't need much to make you happy in life, do you? Roof above your head, hot fire. Staying positive is being kind to yourself. Staying positive is not focusing on the things that you've done wrong and moving on from them.
That's why rule number 5 is use what's around you. With water, shelter, and fire in place, you can start to prioritize other things, like finding basic food.
Stafford, why haven't you been eating these?
Forage for food. And never pass up an easy meal.
That is such a good thing.
Edible insects in particular are an easy source of protein.
Breakfast of champions.
One other essential piece of kit is some kind of string or rope. Vines, roots, and tree bark make great cordage.
Bark is better wet to work with. Twist it up until it forms a natural kink, and then when that kink's formed, twist the overhand line. And so I'm always turning the top line away from me and then wrapping it over in front. And that is strong. That is really, really strong. When you get to a good place, when you're not frantic to achieve it, then you do find things. But in my mind, that's not luck. It's almost getting to that stage where you are in tune with the environment and things just happen.
These next rules are the real game changers. Rule 6. Expand your horizons. In Australia, the only fresh water was in a canyon, far from the food resources of the coast. I decided to explore the far shore, to look for something that could change my fate. Wow, this must be an old plastic fishing float, maybe? Might not be great for carrying it, but it would store water. That's fantastic. In hot environments like Western Australia, staying hydrated is essential to staying alive.
True. Okay, what I need now is vines as shoulder straps.
I can't imagine this in any survival handbook, but you have to adapt to what's around you.
Oh, it's water. It's water in a huge quantity. It's nowhere near a canyon. It's up on a cliff edge.
As things become familiar, it can be all too easy to stick to the same paths and places. That water boy changed everything. By the coast, I could graze on oysters, crabs, and shellfish.
Crab, I love crab.
And I'll never forget my first evening at my new camp on Australia's majestic Kimberley coast.
Was it worth all of that labouring in the hot sun? Yes, it was. Extraordinary feeling. And I'm just straight over the bay. And I can sit here in the evenings and contemplate life. Utterly stunning. Uncharted territory now. And I walk down this slope behind me and the most beautiful waterfall. Yes. Who hasn't got 10 minutes in the day for a swim? I'm going to relax for 10 minutes. A lot of people speak of the jungle as the green hell. They imagine it very knotted and matted and twisted and full of spines and barbs, and some of it is.
And then, every now and again, you spill down to a river like this.
I have therefore learned that these are essential, you know? You can't just work all the time. That is all part of getting to that stage where you're not just surviving anymore. That's getting to that stage where you really are starting to thrive because you're happy, I suppose.
Traps are essential to long-term survival. Many things have to be strategically considered. And in my experience, fish are the easiest targets.
Hang on. There's something in it. Yes!
Big you.
Got a catfish. Oh, and there's another one in there as well. That's incredible. I've got 2 fish. Breakfast! Yes, the fish trap works.
By working smart, not hard, I found ways to work with nature rather than against it.
I think you cannot underestimate the value of catching something in a trap. There's an undeniable psychological boost that goes alongside being successful. Oh my God! There's a skunk in there. There's a skunk in there. Ah! Ah! Yes! Look at the size of it. I've got a taste. Yes! Oh, the food. The food.
Not only did catching a deer mean plentiful food, it also meant warm clothing.
Really, really good. I've got a warm top. Look at this feast. I'm gonna smear the whole piece of venison in the blueberry sauce. Oh, incredible.
Rule 9. Make yourself at home. Small things can go a long way.
It is those little things like having a cup of tea, going for a swim, putting on some clothes, even if it's grass skirt, yet again, just make everything seem that bit more normal, really.
If you want to survive long term, you've got to get domesticated. Things like a cup of tea made the world of difference to my morale. In Arizona, I caught a skunk and took my cooking to another level.
Okay, all we need to do is pop that in the oven at gas mark 5 for 40 minutes, and it will be a perfectly baked saguaro mesquite pie. It's just decadence. It's absolute decadence. Ow.
You need to find any way you can to make your life comfortable. Shoes allowed me to roam far more easily.
It's like these shoes are a VIP pass. Got the right shoes on, you can get in.
An raised bed was an absolute luxury.
I can't tell you how comfy that bed is.
Making myself at home helped me feel like I could survive indefinitely.
You know, eggs on a frying pan over the fire is the ultimate luxury. And I don't think I would have realised that if I hadn't put myself through a fair amount of hardship along the way.
That's why my final and possibly ultimate rule of survival is all about having the right attitude. In Venezuela, I was living on a knife edge, but a washed-up rodent gave me just what I needed to survive.
Thanks to this animal, I'm going to feast tonight. So I'm gonna throw him into the water and send him on his way with much gratitude. Thanks, little fella.
I realised that with respect for nature, I could accept the situation and start to make the best of it.
You can battle against nature, can't you? Or you can smile and surrender to it. And the latter is so much easier. Because you can't change nature, you can't change the weather, you can't change anything. So if you just accept it, suddenly there isn't a problem anymore.
To actually sit down every once in a while, look into the flames, have a nice meal, open my eyes and start appreciating what's around me. Because that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about.
It's raining! I got myself a frog for supper.
Look at that!
That is beautiful.
You can come round whenever you like, mate.
Eddie in his hammock. Is it as comfy as a normal hammock? No, I'll be honest. This is better than venison in the finest restaurant in Paris.
Yes!
Yes, 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 yes.
And loved it.
Yes! Yes!